What is up, YouTube? What is up? I've got so much to talk about. Okay, so I'm gonna start out with Monday. Um, Monday we had a snow day. Our school barely ever has a snow day. And this Monday was our second one this year. Well, the first one was cold weather day because it was below. It was in the negatives or whatever one day. But anyway, Monday we had a snow day. Um, I had told you all before that they had found some precancer cells way back in August, yada yada, um, because I had PCOS and, my hormones are unbalanced, things like that. Well, I have to go and have a pap smear every 6 months, but after having the lap band and being off my hormones, um, I hadn't had, I hadn't menstruated since August because I hadn't been on any hormones since August. And actually, the last menstrual cycle I had was after my last biopsy. But anyway, um, I had an appointment last Monday to go back and get, back on hormones so I can have a normal cycle and things like that. Well, when I went, they wanted to go ahead and do my 6 month pap smear, even though it was at 4 months. Well, they did that, and of course, they say if it comes back normal, you get a letter in the mail. If it comes back at normal, you get a call. Well, I was being out of school Monday. I was able to answer my phone and I got that call. Answered the phone, saw it was Dr. Valutis. I already knew it was abnormal. So I wasn't even, too worried about it. I knew what the deal was. I was expecting it. So, since I was off work, I said, can we go ahead and do my biopsy or coloscopy today? And they said yes. So I went, had it done, and he said because the cells are spreading or mutating or whatever you call it, he wants to go in and actually remove those cells. And he can either do it in the office or surgically. He does, where he's a specialist, he does everything in office. I've had 4 biopsies and 2 coloscopies now in office, and it hurt like heck. But anyway, so I go back from my results of my biopsy on the 9th, and he will schedule my surgical procedure then. So hopefully this will get rid of those precancer cells and solve my problem. Um, so that was Monday. Tuesday, we had another snow day, and I was like, well, I need to go to Walmart and get. I live in a small town. All we have is Walmart, one-stop shopping. So I need to go to Walmart and get some groceries because we're supposed to be having this bad storm, yada yada. So I go to Walmart about 11 o'clock in the afternoon. My kids hadn't eaten yet because we slept in. No school, right? So I have like $100 worth of groceries in the buggy. And my mom has a buggy. She's getting my grandmother some groceries as well. And the last thing I had to get was some paper plates because I was like, I don't feel like washing dishes all week. Because generally we're at school and we only eat dinner at home, so I didn't have much groceries in the house, and I didn't want to wash dishes all week. So anyway, I'm headed up the aisle to get the paper plates, and the lights go off in Walmart. So we're like, wow. I used to work at Walmart. I was a manager there for 4 years, and and so I'm like, oh, the backup will kick on. No, they've had a remodel this past year, and they do not have backup generators now. So we had to just leave. Nobody could buy anything, and we had to leave. Well, we were going to McDonald's because my kids hadn't eaten yet, and McDonald's didn't have any electricity. Come to find out, the entire city of Berea had no electricity. So we go all the way to Richmond, which is not far. It's just 10 miles away. And we go find a restaurant, get something to eat, and go back home. Well, Richmond, I mean, it was ice. First, we had a little bit of snow. Then we had freezing rain. Then it snowed again, and then it sleeted on top of that. So all that was compacted, and it was freezing rain. So my mom was like, she had just got her income tax, and she was like, we don't have any electric. Go home. We're gonna go back to Brib, get all of our stuff. I'm getting my mom, which is my grandmother, and her husband, and I'm renting us a hotel in Richmond. So I'm like, cool. We get our stuff together, and I'm like, yay, we get a hotel. We go to the hotel. We're chilling. I go down to the weight room and get on the treadmill for about a good 15 minutes or whatever. I was just having a good time. We were watching TV. The UK game was on. I don't necessarily like basketball, but everybody else was watching. We were all in my grandmother's hotel room watching the game, and the TV goes out. It's all snowy. So I look, I'm like, oh, it's just a matter of time, and we're not going to have any electricity. So my mom looks out the window, and it's freezing rain. I mean, just hard, and it's so cold outside. And then uh, I'm like, gosh, this reminds me of that movie where they're in that hotel and those two little girls. I said the next thing that's gonna happen is two little girls are gonna ride down on a tricycle in the middle of the hallway, and then we're gonna hear, like The Shining or whatever. I'm just cracking up, right? And as I say that, the lights go out in the hotel. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So here we are. We went to a completely different city in order to sleep in a cold room, and one of my boys was sick. My youngest boy was sick, so he needed to be somewhere where it was warm. And now the lights are out. Well, it was so pitch black outside that we weren't, going to get in the car and try to drive because there were no street lights. So the majority of the city of Richmond had no lights, so we slept in a cold room. So I was going to do a YouTube video too, and it went out. But anyway, so we slept at a hotel with no electric that night. So the next morning we get up. My grandmother, so stubborn, she's like, "I'm gonna find me some kerosene, and I'm going to my own house." Now, mind you, we live in the Appalachian Mountains, and Berea is the first real city. Everything else is kind of like mountains. So when something happens, like snowstorm and all that, they come to Berea as if we're a big city and we're really a small city or whatever. So the people from the mountains come to Berea and get things that they need. Well, if Berea is, shut down, the entire city had no electric. I mean, they shut down the college, the schools, everything. No electric, the entire city. So that means everybody from mountains and Berea was going to Richmond. So my grandmother thinks she's gonna find kerosene on the third day of our ice storm. So we go to Lowe's, no kerosene. We go here, no kerosene, no kerosene. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. My uncle lives two more cities over, and I called him, and he was like, I have a generator. It's bad up here too, but I have a generator, and if the electricity goes out, we have some. Y'all need to get the kids. Egypt's sick, blah blah blah, and come on up here. And I said, well, your mom wants to go home. And he was pretty ticked about that. So my stubborn grandmother, instead of um, going with us, we came back home. I let my dog out. Got enough water for my cat and everything, and I headed to Lexington and went to my uncle's house. My kids, my mom, and I. And my stubborn grandmother and her husband decides they're going to go to the shelter instead of going to Lexington. So they ended up staying in a shelter. It's almost 10 minutes on here, so I'm gonna have to make this in two parts.